Well, COVID-19 infections are growing exponentially with over 9,000 new cases confirmed on Thursday. We need more jabs and arms more than ever. So how are vaccinations coming along? Let's speak now to Dr Aquina Thulare, the technical advisor on NHI. She joins us now via Zoom. Thank you very much, Doctor, for your time here on eNCA. Now, firstly, what's happening with acquiring more vaccines for South Africa?
Good morning, Masego, and good morning to all the viewers of eNCA. We are in the process of ensuring that, we get as many vaccines as we need as a country to ensure that we achieve that herd immunity that we had set a goal for. You will recall that we had indicated that we would be vaccinating over a period of several months, culminating in the last phases of vaccination towards the first quarter of 2022. We have been in discussions and have acquired vaccines from several manufacturers on a bilateral basis, that being Johnson & Johnson and Pfizer. And we are also in discussions with other potential suppliers who are still awaiting approval from the South African Health Products Regulatory Authority. You will note that from Johnson & Johnson, we have signed for 31 million vaccines that were going to be delivered over a period of time, whilst with Pfizer, we initially contracted for 20 million vaccines. Pfizer is a 2-dose vaccine. You need to be jabbed twice. And then we have also contracted for an additional 10 million vaccines from Pfizer. This would give us an amount of around 15 million people who would be vaccinated through Pfizer, whilst with Johnson & Johnson it will be 31 million. We have also engaged through the COVAX facility to get an additional 1.3 million doses of Pfizer through this, and these vaccines are being delivered on an incremental basis. We have already received several doses from Pfizer. We started with an amount of 325,000 vaccines on a weekly basis. So for 4 weeks, we received 325,000 on a weekly basis. And then from last week, we started receiving 650,000 Pfizer vaccines, which was double what we initially got. And this will happen for the next 3 weeks. And for the last week, we'll be receiving another 1.3 million doses from Pfizer. And then thereafter, we will be in further discussions with Pfizer to get a schedule of the next batch of Pfizer vaccines, having taken into account that I indicated that Pfizer will be supplying us with close to 30 million vaccines that will vaccinate 15 million people. With Johnson & Johnson, we have had some challenges in that the Johnson & Johnson that we had expected to arrive at the beginning of the month of May did not arrive because of certain challenges with the manufacturing plant that is in the US. There were some challenges in some issues that the FDA had identified. And in respect of this, the company Johnson & Johnson Janssen in the US had opted to wait for final approval and authorization for the vaccines to be released. Our vaccines are already in the country, but they cannot be distributed or dispatched or used for inoculation because of this challenge. The manufacturer is not comfortable that we use them until they get the go-ahead from the FDA, which is the Food and Drug Administration Authority in the US, for us to use these vaccines.
Yes, Dr. Thulare, there is also the question around, although we know that the Johnson & Johnson vaccine has been quite touch and go even before this FDA part of it, it was halted before by the US, but we are moving quite slowly in South Africa in terms of your targets in the health department about how far we should have been by now in terms of inoculating people. What do we do? Are we going to continue ordering from Johnson & Johnson when we can see that we're stumbling upon a lot of challenges there?
I think that discussion is currently underway. We have not yet made taken a position on that. our position at this stage is that we believe that the FDA is going to allow the Johnson & Johnson to be released for use. But at the same time, we are already considering if ever we should be looking at other options. We know for a fact that, for example, Sinovac was recently given emergency use approval by the WHO, and our SAPRA is looking at that and conducting some studies that are going to ensure that the Sinovac, as approved by WHO, will be appropriate for our context. And once this is approved, if ever it is going to be approved, we'll also start looking at diversifying our pipeline in that aspect. We have also engaged with the Gamaleya Institute, which is responsible for the manufacturing of Sputnik, and there are certain requirements that they still have to fulfill with SAPRA, and before those are fulfilled, our discussions are encumbered in terms of us being able to proceed with the negotiations. But the negotiations have already started in earnest. Thank you.
All right, Dr. Thulare, I have to ask you just one more very quick question in terms of the confidence that you will restore to the public regarding what's been happening in the executive of the Health Department with the Minister in Digital Vibes. Have you guys been discussing that, and how are you going to restore confidence in the public?
Well, the issue of digital vibes and the Minister of Health is a matter that is in the arms of justice and the law. And as a department, we will allow that to take place. But our work is continuing in the department. We are in full support of the acting minister. We are supporting her and ensuring that she is fully appraised of what has been happening, and she is guiding us on what she thinks is the best way of taking the process forward. And we think that, the program is not going to be marginalized or jeopardized by the processes that are happening with the SIU and other processes. But we are fully inspired. We are a team. We work as a team together with the Deputy Minister and all the officials in the department. And we want to make sure that we do not fail the country. We will make sure that this program, and we know that already we have got a resurgence of the virus. We are just making sure that all our efforts are directed at managing the epidemic as it resurges, but we also manage the vaccination with all the constraints that we have.
Okay. Dr. Aquina Thulare, she is from the National Health Department. She is an advisor for the National Health Insurance.